On a previous video I said I was tired of winter. I couldn't wait until I could get in my Camaro and do some burnouts. And now, it's never gonna happen. Alright, so those of you who've been with me for a few years, you know that I bought a 1979 Z28 Camaro back in the day, saved up some money. You know, I had a muscle car when I was a kid, and I've always wanted to get another one. And, you know, I'm the kind of guy where I would rather spend money on my family than myself. And my wife has just really been pushing me to kind of get something that's my own, something that I can tinker with, something that I can work on, something that's just mine, you know. And so I finally bought that car, and at first it was amazing, and then the problems started, which are going to happen when you're working on 30-plus-year-old vehicles, you know, old muscle cars, stuff that you beat on. And it was great. I'll be honest, it was great. I loved working on it. You know, the things that were going wrong were all things I could fix. You know, I consider myself a basic mechanic. I can do basic things, you know, general mechanic knowledge. And, you know, a lot of the stuff that was going wrong I could fix, and I did. And at first it was great. I was driving it around. And then one day I had it for a few months. Then it went away for the winter. When I got it back out, I noticed that it just didn't feel like it had the same amount of power. Come to find out that I had a bad valve and the number 7 cylinders. So I was pretty much running on 7 cylinders. And that sucked. That was a really big bummer. So I kept driving the car anyway, because I knew pretty much I just needed a new set of heads. And I kept driving the car anyway. Well, I was driving it in a local car show, and, well, whatever, it's a cruise, but, and somebody pulls up behind me on a moped and says, "Hey man, just want to let you know your car is puking out a bunch of smoke." I'm like, "Oh, come on." I was in this thing for like 18 seconds. It felt so good for that 18 seconds. So I found out that I snapped a ring in number 5, and the motor needed a complete rebuild, and it was way more money than I wanted to put into it or really could afford at the time. So the car sat for a long time. My wife kept pushing me, you know, "We got to get a new motor for that car. I want you to have that car." Guys, when your wife is giving you support on a muscle car, you've got to freaking keep her, man. I am a blessed man. So finally saved up some money, finally decided to have somebody, found a local mechanic, and he started building me a motor. Long story short there, he ended up scamming me. By the time I got the motor back, it was full of used parts. Everything was supposed to be brand new. Everything was supposed to be forged. It was all cast. And I ended up selling the motor before I even put it in my car, and took a huge loss on that. And pretty much at that point said, "I'm done. I'm just going to get rid of the car." And my wife, sticking to it, man, she said, "No, we're going to find something." So I said, okay. So I ended up ponying up some money, found a shop that's been in business for 30 plus years in the same location, have everybody that I talk to just raves about these guys. So they built me a motor. The motor's done. We dropped it into the car. We were literally a day or two away from turning the key, and we're putting a pretty, you know, about 600 plus horsepower, 600 plus foot-pounds of torque into this car. And we wanted to make sure that it was going to be safe. You put that much horsepower in a car, you got to make sure things were safe. And unfortunately, this is the killer. We found some rot. Actually, most of the frame looks fantastic, but unfortunately, there was a little bit of rot just in the worst place. It's near the rear end, where the rear end connects and the rear suspension connects. And he told me if I was putting a regular, let's say 350 small block in it, no problem, it would drive just fine. You know, you can go play around on the weekends. But I've got a big tire on the back, and I was putting a big block in there, and he said there's a good chance I'll rip the rear end right out of the car. And the amount of money to fix it, the amount of time, it's just not worth it. I think it's time for me to tap out. I think it's time for me to wave that flag. And I'm just gonna, he suggested that we just put a small block in the car. He actually has one for a really great price. He's been amazing, man. This guy feels so bad for me. He's not even gonna charge me for anything he's done over the last week, and he even gave me a deal on the motor, and he's giving me a deal on this 350. And so we're just gonna put a 350 in. I'm just gonna sell it. Good news is I feel comfortable selling it. He said he would write off on it. He says he firmly believes that a small block would be just fine in the car. You know, as long as it's not a big horsepower deal. So now that I know about the problem, when I sell things, I'm honest. So I'll have to tell people that are going to buy the car that there's an issue with the frame. You know, as long as they don't stick some big time supercharged big block in there, it'll be just fine. So I'm confident I'll be able to sell the car and sell its car to somebody who's going to take care of it and have the ability to do the work to fix it. And hopefully somebody will get some enjoyment out of it. So what does that mean I'm going to do? I have no freaking clue. I failed so many times with that car. I was cursed from the beginning, if you think about it. I mean, my positivity wants me to tell me, LP, just be thankful that he found that, man, and that you weren't ripping down the road and that rear end just went out from underneath you and hurt your family, hurt yourself, hurt, you know, anybody else around. So I'm trying to be positive. I'm grateful that he found the problem. And we'll just figure it out, right? That's life, you know. We'll figure something out. First world problems in the grand scheme of life, it's not that big of a deal. It sucks I'm out a butt ton of money, but I've got my wife's support at my side, and you really can't ask for much else. So I figured I'd give you guys an update on the Camaro. I've tried to do this a few times. Obviously, I'm still using the stock GoPro mic. I've got 2 mics right here that I tried. I've got another one at home. None of them work. They're all terrible. Really, if I want good quality, I'd have to spend like $300 on like a Rode mic. You know, I don't make any money on YouTube, so it's kind of tough to spend money on things like that. But I don't know. We'll see. You know, these Ridin' Dirties are, you know, they're not big view grabbers anyway, and they're just kind of more for my OG viewers who like seeing stuff like this. So I don't know. We'll figure something out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little update on the Camaro. I have no idea what I'm going to do now. Best case scenario is I find a car that has no motor or trans, and I just drop my because now I have a brand new 600 horsepower motor just sitting there. Part of me wants to just sell it and be done with it, but I'm a car guy. I love cars. Now I want to try and make this work. So maybe in the future, after I can save up some money, we'll find, you know, a roller that's in good shape that somebody just doesn't have an inch of trans, and I'll buy that and drop my stuff into it. But if you guys have got any projects, I have a Twitter. Follow me, The Loyal Patriot, on Twitter. And I want to see pictures of your cars, man. I want to see pictures of your projects. And if you guys have had projects, you know, leave comments down below and just let me know, man. It sucks, but that's life, right? We deal with it and we keep pushing on, and maybe I'll find something better some other day. Appreciate you guys watching, sticking with me. Later.